Welcome back to Face the State. I'm Ariana Bennett. Thank you for staying with us. Well, Sparks, like Reno and Washoe County, plays its own part in managing our area's homeless problem, which is only getting worse as the cost of living goes up and affordable housing gets harder to find. So I'm back with Sparks City Manager Steve Driscoll now. Steve, thank you again for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me.
All right, so what does the homeless situation look like in the city of Sparks right now?
Well, it's really not a Reno, Sparks, Washoe County as much. It's really about a region. We do have, because of the river and because of the river path, there is a large number of people that are having housing insecurity and they're on the river. Some by choice, some not. And so we're working with Washoe County, the state, and the city of Reno together to try to work through the problems and to be able to find solutions and to help the ones that are on the river that want services, to give them those services, to try to get them into housing, to take care of issues that they might have, medical or otherwise.
Okay. Now, I know that the city of Reno has put in kind of an initiative to get, the homeless camps off of their part of the river corridor, and I'd heard that a lot of them moved south or east into Sparks, downstream into Sparks. Is that the case, and is that still a problem?
Well, the camps move based on pressure. And so if Reno were to talk to them, then they have a tendency to move to Sparks. And when we talk to them, they have a tendency to move back. And so really we're working with the same people, both the Reno Police Department, Sparks Police Department, Washoe County Social Services. So we know who they are and we work with them. So it's really not a matter of pushing one way or the other. It's identifying those who are willing to come into the system and we can help them from that standpoint.
Do we have the resources we need to get them into housing?
We have a good set of resources and we're trying to make sure that we're utilizing those resources properly. The three elected bodies, Washoe County, Reno, and Sparks, have just kind of changed how they're managing the homeless situation versus just focusing on the campus down on Record Street and only the Volunteers of America contract. It's looking at a bigger picture. So involving Reno Housing Authority and other folks to look at homelessness as a system that needs a model solution.
Now, is there money to implement these changes, or is this going to be a sticking point?
Money will always be the hardest part of the equation. And so we're working on spending the money that we have locally, dedicated to it the best we can, the most efficient we can. And we certainly look to others, the federal government, Reno Housing Authority. We do a lot of things through grants from the federal government. And so we spend that money as wisely as we can as well. And so we're always looking for how to maximize the funding that we do have.
Is it possible to see a homeless shelter or some kind of solution built in the city of Sparks?
If we had property, we would have one now. Unfortunately, the property that's available is all privately owned. So there's nothing that the city owns itself. Otherwise, we would do that. We participate in paying for and helping the housing in the other areas. And then we also work with the service providers to do the same thing. So we treat it as a single system. Okay.
So other than, what's already been done, if you were to look at this system and say, this is what will fix it, is there something, money aside, that would do it?
I believe there is, and we're actually working on that currently. Right now there is a grant that we've secured to look at the continuum of care that we have for the folks that fall into the homeless system. And so that report's due shortly, and this new management group, if you will, for the elected officials will take a look at that study and figure out what the model is based on the resources we have and the needs that we have, so we're doing the right thing. There's a lot of different systems out there, and you can't just warehouse people, and at the other side you can't make them do all the services. You've got to find something in the middle, and that's what this study will tell us. So we're very excited to get it. It will take more resources than we have, but we'll be able to prioritize and work forward.
All right. Now, all the jurisdictions obviously working together on this issue. And in the past, we've seen not always the best working relationship between the two cities and the county. And obviously it changes of new elected leaders and, lots of turnover and that sort of thing. So how would you characterize the working relationship between all the jurisdictions right now?
I think we probably have the best working relationship that we've had in a really long time. The solutions are more about how do we do it together rather than one group wanting to take basically getting credit for something to say, oh look, we did this great job. We've kind of gotten rid of that. The personalities and that win-lose situation is there. And so we're seeing the state is taking a greater role in mental health, which has been a deficiency we've had for a long time. Some of the social services that are provided by Washoe County, they're expanding their ability to help, and we're managing the VOA contract better as to all the other service providers that are there, and we're taking an active role. We talk to each other now more than we ever have in the past, and I think that's what the difference is.
Does that same, workability also apply to, for example, regional fire service talks?
Certainly, those talks have been going on and off for a long time. We're at the table even though we're not necessarily part of the discussion, because we're really looking for the best regional solution we can come to. And it isn't about governance necessarily, as it is about managing the manpower and the equipment in the best way so the citizens are taken care of most efficiently and effectively.
We've talked about this a lot on this show, the fire service issue and how to make a regionalization agreement that maximizes public safety. So where does the city of Sparks stand in terms of the best possible solution? Is it automatic aid? Is it a regional service under one body? Is it something completely different?
Well, we currently have both mutual aid and automatic aid with Truckee Meadows in the North Valley, and we've been doing it for a short while, and it's working very, very well. And so we've got communication systems that work better than they ever have. So instead of sending two and then one gets to come home, when you don't need it, we're only sending one. And so we're starting to see that it doesn't matter the government that's sending the resource, it's just getting the resource there as quickly as possible and provide the services. We all have the ability to provide the same level of services, whether it's fire or medical, because medical really is what fire spends most of their time on. Right. So we're very encouraged by where we are with our current project.
But no agreement like that with Reno.
We have mutual aid agreements with them, and we're in the position that we're continuing to work on automatic aid. And right now, our jurisdiction doesn't butt up the same, but I believe that that'll be something that's going to be very easy to do because we have some new technology that's going to make it easier for us to talk to each other electronically, if you will, through dispatch.
Okay, so then it would be, correct me if I'm wrong, an automatic aid agreement where you keep your jurisdictional separation instead of like a unified regional fire service?
It works the same way, and as long as the communication system there in dispatch works, it really doesn't matter who's dispatching who. It's just getting the closest rig with the right resources on it to wherever the call is necessary. And that isn't defined by government. It's really defined by operations.
Okay. Any idea how long it might take to get this deal done with all three major entities?
I'm not really sure because we're working really hard at working together. And so having a formalized agreement may not be as necessary as maybe it was 10 years ago. But I know that all of the three jurisdictions want to provide the best possible service, and that's the first step.
All right. Well, we've got a couple minutes left, so I'd be curious about, with the population growth, whether you need a bigger police force, or are you able to meet the need with what you have?
I would certainly like to have a lot more police officers on the street. The budget woes that we have and the tax structure is such that we've maximized what we can, and as we have little growth, we add to where that is. We use regional teams for a lot of things with Washoe County and Reno. And so while I would like to have, maybe a dozen or 2 dozen officers for patrol and speeders and, red light runners, I think it's going to be a little bit longer from that. And that's where I hope that the tax structure conversation helps us out a little bit more from where we are today. Okay, well, we have just under a minute left. So is there anything else you think the public should know about what's going on in Sparks right now? Well, we say it's happening here. And we like to be the city of choice, so we're hoping that people choose to come visit with us, enjoy our special events, and once downtown's really going, it'll be kind of the new living room for the community.
Yeah, can't wait to see it. All right, Steve, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Sure appreciate it. Okay, well, that is it for this episode of Face the State. But for more information on all of this or to see past episodes, you can just head to our website. That's ktvn.com. Thank you so much for being with us. We'll see you next week.